I never told my wife's family about the house I inherited. Then her mom came with a notary trying to claim it. She left empty-handed. So, I got married. I really thought I was marrying someone who loved me for me, not for my bank account or what I could hand over. Lena had that sweet chaos energy, always insisted she wasn't into material stuff, and claimed money didn't matter if the vibes were good. Yeah, I bought that story like a sucker. But I kept one thing to myself. Not because I didn't trust her, okay, maybe a little, but mostly because she never asked. When my grandmother passed away, it destroyed me. She was my heart, the warmest person I've ever known. But she didn't just leave me with grief. She left me with two things that meant the world to her. A lakeside cabin in Vermont that's been in our family forever. Think fishing dock, squeaky floorboards, coffee on the porch, the works. And a vintage bookstore in Keene, New Hampshire. It's small, quiet, but low-key thriving because it sells rare first editions and weird collectibles that book nerds go crazy for. That bookstore, it's where I learned to read, where I stacked dusty paperbacks every summer and got paid in hot chocolate and hugs. It's not just real estate. It's my legacy. And Lena, she never once asked about my grandma, never said, "Hey, what was your childhood like?" She was always more focused on what her side of the wedding party was wearing. So yeah, I didn't bring it up. Fast forward to 1 week after the wedding, Lena's mom, who absolutely gives off HOA president energy, shows up at our place without warning, dragging some guy in a button-down and glasses behind her. I open the door, and she's already halfway inside saying, "We thought it'd be smart to get ahead of some paperwork now that you're married." Paperwork? Behind her, dude opens a black folder and pulls out a pen. Lena walks in, totally silent, like she knows how this is about to go. Like she planned this and just hopes I won't throw the whole coffee table. Her mom sits at the kitchen table like she owns it and starts throwing around phrases like joint assets, real estate consolidation, and family protection. That's when it hits me. They think I'm rich. They think I'm holding out. They think this is the moment I hand it all over. And I almost laughed, because I knew what they wanted, and I was about to give them exactly nothing. Standing in my own kitchen, like a stranger in my own damn house, while my new mother-in-law is flipping through legal paperwork like we're closing on a condo together. She's got this smug look on her face, too. Like she's certain I'm about to spill all my financial secrets and let her daughter start signing things like it's Monopoly money. Lena's standing there like a kid caught shoplifting, silent, nervous, but not saying a damn word to stop any of it. And that hurt more than I expected. I look at the guy in the blazer, Mr. Notary, who's now pulling out 2 copies of some contract. You know, just in case I want to make it official. So I take a deep breath, sit down across from them and say, "Wow, you came prepared." Karen, sorry, Mrs. Franklin, laughs like we're old pals. "We just like to keep things clean and organized. It's really for your protection too, sweetheart." Sweetheart. This woman really called me sweetheart, like she didn't just try to legally hijack my wallet over brunch. I glance at Lena, who's now picking at her nails like she suddenly realized how insane this all is, and then I lean back, fold my arms, and say real calm, "Well, this is going to be a short meeting, because I don't own anything." Her mom blinks. I keep going. I rent this apartment. I drive a beat-up Honda. No stocks, no shares, no property. Nada. Karen's mouth twitches like she doesn't believe me. So I double down. "If you're looking for someone to cash in on, I promise you, I'm not the guy." She sits back in her chair, the smirk officially gone. And Lena, still silent. Not a single "Mom, maybe this isn't appropriate." Not a "Babe, I didn't know she was doing this." Nothing. Just awkward silence and the sound of a notary awkwardly clicking his pen. So I stand up. "Thanks for stopping by," I say. "But I think this meeting's over." Karen tries to salvage it, stammering something about just trying to help. But the tone's changed. Her little plan crashed and burned. She gathered up her papers like she was sweeping up her pride off the floor. And Lena, she tried to say something as they left. "You didn't have to lie like that." And I just looked at her, dead in the eye. Who said I was lying? Because I wasn't. I hadn't said a single word about my grandma's bookstore, or the cabin, And now, I was really glad I hadn't. I figured Lena would let it go after the whole notary fiasco, maybe cool off, realize how messed up that ambush was, and maybe even apologize. Spoiler, she didn't. Instead, 4 days later, I came home from grabbing groceries and found her sitting on the couch, white-knuckling a manila folder like it had personally betrayed her. The second I walked in, she snapped. "You have property in Vermont?" And just like that, the gloves came off. Apparently, she'd gone digging through my closet, found a locked box of family stuff I'd kept, old letters from my grandmother, dusty photos, and yeah, the deed to the lakeside cabin. My cabin, the one filled with memories, stories, history, all now smeared with her entitled fingerprints. "You were hiding this from me," she yelled. I dropped the bags, calm as hell. "No," I said. "I was protecting it." She launched into a rant about how marriage means sharing everything, how trust is built on honesty, how I was the one being shady now. All I could do was stare at her, stunned at the absolute audacity. This woman, who just days ago let her mom show up with a notary like I was an ATM with a heartbeat, now had the nerve to lecture me about transparency? "You only care because you thought you married broke," I said, finally. "Let's not pretend this is about trust. This is about access." That hit her hard. She went quiet for a second, just long enough for me to see the truth sink in. She hadn't fallen in love with me. She'd fallen in love with the idea of what I could give her. When she thought I had nothing, she brought paperwork. Now that she knew I had something, she brought rage. And I was done. I walked over, took the folder gently from her hands, and said, "This cabin, it's not for you. It's not for us. It's mine, and you'll never set foot in it." She called me selfish. I said, "Cool, I'd rather be selfish than legally robbed," with a smile. She tried to argue, cried a little for dramatic effect, tossed in a, "You're really gonna throw away our marriage over this?" And I just nodded. "I think you threw it away the second your mom brought a damn notary to my kitchen table." Then I walked into the bedroom, grabbed my grandma's box of letters, the bookstore keys, and the last piece of self-respect I had left. Because I wasn't about to fight over what was already mine. It took exactly 36 hours. That's how long Lena stayed quiet after our fight about the cabin. No texts, no dramatic speeches, no "I'm sorry I overreacted," just silence. I thought maybe she was reflecting, cooling off. But no, she was scheming. The next day I get a phone call from a local real estate agent, a woman named Kelly, who'd been handling listings in the Keene area for years, super sweet. She says, "Hey, just confirming the open house at the lakeside property?" I stop mid-step. "I'm sorry. What open house?" Kelly sounds confused. "Lena said you two were getting ready to sell. She reached out with pictures, square footage, even asked me to appraise the land." My stomach dropped so fast I almost laughed. This woman, this wife of mine, tried to list my inheritance behind my back. I hung up without another word, opened my Find My iPhone app, and saw Lena's location pinging right at the cabin. She'd driven 2 hours north without telling me, broken into the place that meant everything to me, and brought a goddamn real estate agent. It took me 1 tank of gas and every ounce of chill I had left to not explode the moment I pulled up. She was in the living room, smiling wide, gesturing toward the fireplace like she was pitching a ski chalet on HGTV. The agent was jotting down notes, totally unaware she was participating in a felony. "Lena," I said from the doorway, "get the hell out of my house." She froze. The agent froze. I walked in, calm but shaking on the inside. "You don't live here. You don't even own a brick in this place. But we're married, and we won't be for much longer." I turned to the agent and said, "Sorry, she's not the owner. I am. This property isn't for sale. It never was." Kelly backed out fast, apologizing as she went. Lena tried the tears again. "I was just trying to help us. We could have used the money to start fresh." I cut her off. "You're not part of the us anymore." Then I walked her out, and when she refused to hand over the spare key, I changed the locks, called a lawyer, filed for annulment that same damn week. Oh, and just for fun, I posted a pic of me on the cabin porch a few days later. Coffee in hand, dog in lap, firewood stacked behind me, with the caption, "Funny how peace looks like nothing to the wrong people." And that's when I blocked her everywhere. Because you can't reason with someone who only hears dollar signs when you speak. And I wasn't gonna let her auction off my life like it was a garage sale. A soft filtered selfie. Lena looking tragically sad with a caption that read, "Some people will throw away a marriage to protect a piece of land. Just heartbroken." She tagged her mom. She tagged a couple of our mutual friends. Within hours, I started getting DMs from people I hadn't heard from since high school. "What happened, man? You really kicked her out over a cabin?" She says she's sleeping on her mom's couch. She knew exactly what she was doing. Painting me like the emotionally constipated villain who abandoned his poor, delicate wife in her time of need. And look, for a minute, it worked. People started posting, men stuff on her comments. Some dude from her college days offered her a place to crash. Even her grandma chimed in with, "You deserve better, sweet girl." Sweet girl, my ass. So I sat with it for a few days, let her run her mouth, let the fake narrative breathe. And then, I posted my own. Not a rant, not a play-by-play, just one screenshot, her email to the real estate agent with the subject line, "Ready to list. My husband doesn't know yet." Underneath it I wrote, "Sometimes protecting what you love means letting go of what pretends to love you back." Mic drop. No hashtags, no tagging anyone, just enough truth to burn through the lies. Within minutes, her comment section started changing. People started deleting their sympathy. A couple even messaged me to apologize. The same friend who'd asked me, "Did you really kick her out?" now texted, "Bro?" That was cold-blooded and justified. But the best part? Lena panicked. She called me 17 times in one afternoon, left voicemails sobbing about how I ruined her and how I was so vindictive. I didn't answer a single one, because no, I'm not vindictive. I'm just done being quiet about things people like her depend on me staying silent about. I built a life she tried to hijack. I showed her kindness and she brought contracts. I gave her trust and she gave me manipulation wrapped in Pinterest dreams. And now, she can keep the sympathy likes. I'll keep the cabin, the freedom, and the damn peace. It's wild what silence sounds like when you've lived in chaos. The first night after everything with Lena ended, no phone calls, no shouting across rooms, no fake laughter echoing off my walls, it was quiet. Just quiet. I sat on the porch of the cabin with a blanket over my lap, cup of tea in hand. Yeah, I've evolved. And for the first time in what felt like years, my brain wasn't on fire. Lena was still spiraling on social media. I'd muted her everywhere, but people sent me screenshots. She was trying new angles every week. He gaslit me into thinking I was crazy. I sacrificed so much for him. If you knew what I endured, you'd understand. The sympathy train had long since derailed. Most folks saw through it now. A few stuck around, probably because they liked the drama. But her moment was over. Mine was just beginning. I went back to the bookstore in Keene the next week, just to check in. I hadn't been there since the whole marriage circus. The old wooden floors still creaked. The bell still rang when I walked in, and behind the counter was someone I hadn't seen in years. Her name was Nora. She was wearing reading glasses and a t-shirt with a faded quote from Little Women. She looked up, blinked once, then smiled like she hadn't been expecting me, but was genuinely glad I showed up. "You look like you've been through it," I laughed. "That obvious? You look like a man who just realized peace isn't boring." We talked, a lot. She'd been managing the place since my grandmother passed, said it felt more like a calling than a job. She was funny in a dry way. The kind of funny that didn't need attention, just timing. And she loved books, not just reading them, but talking about them, like they were friends. We spent the afternoon shelving new arrivals, talking life. I told her the Lena story in the simplest terms, married someone who liked the idea of me more than the me part. She nodded, didn't ask for details, just said, "That'll make a good chapter one day." Nora didn't flirt. She didn't fawn. She didn't ask what I owned or where I lived. She just said, "You're welcome here, whenever." And that was enough. In a week or two I'll take her out for coffee. Or maybe I won't. Maybe we'll just keep stacking books and swapping life stories until something naturally happens. But whatever this is, it already feels better. Cleaner. No schemes. No secrets. And Lena? Last I heard, she was living with her mom again, posting vague quotes about betrayal and healing. Still hoping someone will buy the version of the story where she's the hero. But the truth? The real story? It's already being written. And she's not on the page anymore. So here's where things were at. Nora and I had become this easy, steady rhythm. We weren't dating, not officially, but we were orbiting closer with every passing day. Coffee on Thursdays, inventory on Saturdays, and more than a few shared glances that felt like something was quietly growing, not exploding, just unfolding. It was good. Calm. Safe. Which is exactly when Lena showed back up. Of course, it started with a package. No return address, just my name and the bookstore's address. Inside, a leather-bound journal. Expensive, gaudy, her taste, with a note that read, "Thought you'd want to start over. Every great love deserves a second draft." No name, no apology, just an assumption that she could rewrite our ending. I didn't respond. Tossed the journal into the lost and weird drawer behind the counter and moved on. But Lena? She wasn't done. A few days later, I got another box. This time, a vintage watch I once admired at a shop while we were dating. She'd remembered. The note said, "Time to come back to what mattered." Again, no name, just heavily perfumed arrogance, and then she texted, "Lena, I still think about you. Not just at night, but always. Maybe we could talk. Just once. No pressure. I know I hurt you, but I still want you. Let me come over. You don't even have to tell anyone. Let me come over." You don't even have to tell anyone. It hit me like a gut punch. She didn't want closure. She wanted control. She wanted to remind me that she could still reach me, that I'd always be within arm's length. But she was wrong, because I wasn't that man anymore. Not the silent one. Not the one who mistook noise for love. So I did something I should have done a long time ago. I printed every message, every note, every gift photo, and I sent them, in a bright pink envelope, to her new boyfriend. Yeah, found his name on her Instagram. The envelope said she wanted me to keep it a secret. That's not really my thing anymore. After that, silence. No more texts, no more boxes. Lena vanished like smoke through a screen. And me, I told Nora everything. Didn't sugarcoat it. Just laid it out. The good, the gross, the cringe. She didn't flinch. She just reached across the table, took my hand, and said, "You didn't let her back in. That's what matters." And that night, I finally slept without checking the door. Without wondering if a ghost might be waiting outside it. Comment below. Would you keep something like that private too? Like, subscribe, and tap the bell for more jaw-dropping family stories, entitlement gone wrong, and satisfying endings where the right person walks away with everything. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you in the next video.